All right, everybody, welcome to the Armchair Sports Universe weekly podcast. I'm joined with my co host Steelbacker and the ACSF correspondent Coco. How are you guys doing?
Doing
Doing
great.
all right.
Great to be back.
Yeah, so we used to try to do this pretty somewhat regularly. We're going to try to keep it consistent. We're going to try to find a groove and try to get these out weekly or at the very least bi-weekly so that we can kind of round up everything that's happening in the ACSU. And with that said, we're going to kick things off with soccer. Now, Steele and I are not really the biggest soccer nuts in the world. So, Coco, fill us in on what is happening in the world of soccer.
So we just wrapped up our World Cup this week. We had Portugal and Spain in the final. The final was great. It went to penalties, and Portugal won 5-4. So it was good. Ronaldo got his World Cup trophy. He's now, of course, on par with Messi. That makes him the best ever. The third place game was also very good. That one was Senegal versus Brazil. So we had an African team make the third place game. It was very cool.
Now that's a pretty big thing for those of us that are listening that aren't soccer fans, because Africa is not a continent that produces a lot of success in the World Cup, as far as I know. Is that right?
Right. Morocco making the semifinal 4 years ago was kind of the big breaking point. And now for Senegal to make it here is pretty cool.
All right, way to go,
I
Senegal.
think the Senegal coach did a really good job. I don't know how much he actually changed through the tournament, but he set a really good one at the beginning and let it ride.
Nice. So kind of like what happened with the Columbus Blue Jackets this season in the ACHL.
Hey, if it's working, you let it ride.
Yeah, I had no problems with that. Now we in the real world, we know that soccer is a pretty interesting topic in the world of the United States. So fill us in on where did the United States finish in the World Cup in the Armchair Sports Universe?
So in this one, we lost in the round of 16 to Argentina. And then let me see. Yeah, Argentina lost to Portugal in the next round. So the hard thing about The Sims is that EA loves Lionel Messi. So going against him is not going to be great, pretty much no matter what you do. So it was a tough showing, but I think there's a lot of promise with the team.
Now, is there going to be further investment in the United States in the ACSU in soccer?
Further investment. Let's see. I don't know because we're fairly limited in what we can do.
Yeah.
But no, getting Flo Balogun, like getting him in real life, was a really big deal because it gave you a viable striker. And Christian Pulisic did a lot more in our World Cup than the real life one, as in he actually played every game. I know, shocker that Pulisic could actually do that.
So, in what you're saying is, in the ACSU, Pulisic's got that dog in him.
He does. He has that dog. He was the second striker for me, next to Balogun, and he did really well. I was pleasantly surprised to see what he could do.
Nice. Well, we're excited.
I am still firing Pochettino, but we'll work with it.
So what is coming up? What's like the next big thing in the ACSF? ACSF, yeah.
Well, as of last night, hashtag MLS is back. That's the big social media thing they're pushing real life. So we're gonna lean on it too. We started simming games last night and finished up the match day today because our MLS also took a month-long break, which is ridiculous. That we're taking a mid-season break, but it's needed for the World Cup, but still kind of silly.
Well, it's kind of like hockey taking the Olympic break.
Right. So we came back. We're pretty much directly mid-season.
Okay, nice. Who are the big? I know that this is probably like you guys might have a little bit more informed discussions, and that's kind of the purpose of the more league-specific podcasts. But for this, I'm sure we're going to have a lot of people tuning in for some of these other sports that, like us, don't know as much about soccer. So this is a good insight into that world. So for the MLS, especially for the people who might, especially after this World Cup, might be a little bit interested in exploring soccer a little bit more, who are like the heavy hitters in the MLS here in the ACSU?
So league champion Atlanta United are still top of the table this year. They have done very well. 14 wins, 1 draw, 3 losses to start the year. They have been fantastic. San Diego has also been really good. They're in second, but they're kind of a distant second. And then you have New England and Miami sitting third and fourth. Miami's kind of been kind of up and down, kind of weird. For as good as Messi is, he has not been great in league play. To be honest with you, has not been great.
Interesting.
I'm pulling up his stats now to kind of see if that's just a ridiculous statement or if that actually is true. Let's see. Oh boy, these stats are a mess. Oh boy. Our website has gotten out of hand apparently because it has international stats instead of MLS.
Perfect. We like to keep
Love
things organized here in the ACSU. You know us.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So Messi has 11 goals on the year, which is second for MLS. So decent, but the rest of his team kind of stinks. So yeah, so we'll look to see if Miami turns it around in the second half of the year. But Atlanta seems like a oncoming train for everybody, and they might be the favorites to win it again.
All right, great. Congrats to. I'm sorry, I'm blanking. Who won the World Cup again? I was looking
Portugal.
at the. Okay, I got confused. I was looking at the weekly schedule.
All good.
All right, so we're excited about the end of the return of the MLS as we get near the end of that season. I have here on my weekly schedule that the MLS has the ownership of our ACSU Twitch account on Wednesday nights. I'm not sure if we've held to that. We'll probably try to get back on that schedule, or we can talk through that a little bit more. But where can you guys have your own YouTube page? I believe now. So if people want to check out the MLS and the ACSF, you can reach out to Coco and you can get that link. And yeah, get interested in soccer, y'all.
It's called soccer.
So, all right, with that, we're going to pivot. We're going to bring Steele back on here, and we are going to pivot to.
Oh, thank God, that muzzle was awful.
We're going to start. Where do you want to go first? We can go to the ACBA, ACLB.
ACBA is great. Let's go to the ACBA. It's time to roast you.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to sit back and I'll take Steele's roast. We'll kick things off by covering the dramatic Giannis Antetokounmpo trade. Second time in 2 off seasons we've had a Giannis trade. So lay it on.
I mean, I don't know about dramatic. I mean, but realistically, my disappointment is immeasurable, and my day was ruined when I saw that it was going to happen. But I don't know. It's uninspiring for me on the Knicks side, right? We've talked about it on the channels and stuff. We brought it up again, so he wants me to bring it up. Overall, I felt like the team was right there. Really, the ball didn't break their way, and that the team was set up to be better in the second year than in the first. But it wasn't going to happen that way. So it wasn't seen that it was going to work out. I guess being pushed to the Game 7 against the team that was only a Kristaps Porzingis God mode run away from winning it all themselves wasn't close enough.
Yeah, I mean, with a couple weeks now in hindsight, I think you can definitely make the argument that I should have not traded him, especially with OKC making a couple trades to try to get under the second apron and Detroit kind of doing the same thing. I think you can make a case that both teams kind of took a step back a little bit in some ways, which would have opened the door a little bit for me. But at the time I had the trade available, I wasn't sure that either team was going to really make. I mean, I made the secondary trade with OKC, but I think that was kind of not a huge step down for them. But I think that if they didn't, and if I got back to that same point again and couldn't get over the hump, then you kind of just left with, LeBron's probably retiring at that point. You don't really have many draft picks, so now you're taking a pretty big step back, and then you're just gonna have to try to make a big trade to fill it. I felt like it made sense to grab 2 very good young players in Brandon Miller and Stephon Castle and get 1 or 2 extra first round picks, 2 extra first round picks that might end up being fairly valuable. At least one of them will be. So that's where I stood with it. But I also understand the criticism of the trade.
Yeah, I think overall, I mean, you talked about if you didn't, if you went for it again and fell short again, what would you be left with? And I would just say that you are left with a chance to break the curse that still is not broken here.
Yeah.
So that's where I would have gone. If your thoughts were that, well, LeBron's going to be gone in a year, there was a guy to move then, and it wasn't Giannis. Giannis wasn't going to be gone in a year. So overall, that was my thinking of it. I think it was backwards. I mean, LeBron's still there, right? So you're still kind of left with the whole, if I don't win it all, I just lose LeBron, right? So I don't know. That's where I'm sitting.
Yeah.
And I think that they're going to be competitive enough in the East because I think that the leagues are pretty much plateaued at a point where the Knicks can be around it.
Yeah.
But I think that, and we talked about it, I think that you got probably the worst version of Sam Giannis we've seen in that specific run.
Yeah.
So, do you think that will happen again? I don't. I've seen a lot of sims of Giannis. I've done a lot of practice sims with Giannis, done a lot of practice sims against Giannis. You don't really get a bad Giannis terribly often. The Bucks never got a bad Giannis. And so then you think, did LeBron and Giannis, was that the problem? And I would not expect it to be LeBron and Giannis as the problem because LeBron and AD was never a problem for the Lakers here. They had nothing else. But it was never a problem with them, and they could beat anybody, including a very good OKC team, with both of them going off. I think Giannis and AD in 2K map very similarly when they're both going to play well. Yeah, AD does just a lot less than Giannis does.
Yeah, I mean,
so I think that the duo still could have worked, and it still could have been at the same level right through to the end.
It definitely.
But if it wasn't going to be that, Giannis still could have been the anchor of a team like that.
Yeah, it definitely still could have worked. It's more where I stood was more of like, if LeBron retires, would I rather have Giannis, some solid role players, and really no picks, or would I rather have two very promising young players and some more draft capital to play around with? Like I just, especially knowing that like I can still be competitive, especially if a couple of the young guys take a step forward. Like either way, I feel like it was probably a slight step back for me, but worth the gamble. But either way,
very much Giannis would have been the choice because you need to find a top 10 player. And so that kind of segues into my biggest thing too is, and we talked about this too, I just never understood why the deal was ever on the table that didn't have Brunson in it. They said they wouldn't do it, and that should have been the end of the discussion. And we talk about negotiations and all that stuff all the time. I think that wavering off of that was the mistake in negotiations. Because it's going to happen with Miami. There's only one guy you can get back.
That wouldn't
for Miami's side of things. I don't want to move Brunson for that.
Yeah,
but also, I could see it.
That didn't really make any sense for them, especially with trying to compete in the rest of the Eastern Conference. Trading Brunson for Giannis, I don't think was going to do a whole lot for them.
I think Giannis on his own is better than Brunson on his own.
Yeah, I mean on their own, but at that point you're still left with.
If we're talking about, I would have taken Brunson 1-for-1 over this.
Well, I kind of wish that you ran
because of how important he was to New York and everything. Like if you're just like, I'm going to try to build it around Brunson here, then I could have respected that.
I mean, that is what I would have wanted to do, but I knew that they didn't want to trade Brunson, and
that's fair. I just wouldn't have done the trade with Miami then at any point.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I still like Castle. I still like Miller. I think both of those guys can still be really good. So whether they'll be,
I would be shocked if either of them can anchor an offense. I'm a big Miller guy, but Miller is like a secondary piece.
Yeah, probably.
I think at his best.
Yeah.
And so now you got your primary piece for one season, and now you have to find it, which is the hardest thing to do in the sport.
It's a little bit easier in the ACBA.
Oh yeah, true. They do give everybody away, so you got that right.
Yeah.
And that'll probably, like I said, if there's a move down the line where you get Halliburton for free, because Halliburton loves to be for free in this league. Well, you know what? All right. You know what? You got me. You got me back on board.
I mean,
but there has to be the execution on the back end.
Yeah, I mean, part of that was a little bit of my thinking is that you might see a lot of teams try to duck the second apron, and that means you're going to have to trade some really decent players for probably not that much because you're just trying to get under the second apron. But we'll see.
Bunch of quacks.
Speaking of superstar players,
Quacks.
The other ACBA move that we planned to talk about was the Steph Curry sign and trade to the Denver Nuggets. So he is leaving the Golden State Warriors and he is going to the Denver Nuggets. Desmond Bane, I know, is a main piece in that deal. I'm looking up.
It was basically the piece. I think there was some salary fill, but I saw it as Bane for Steph.
Desmond Bane and Malik Monk. That was it.
Oh, yeah. So a negative contract even.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I love me some Malik Monk, but
yeah. So for those that aren't following the ACBA and maybe looking to get into it, that now puts the Nuggets with having Nikola Jokic, Cooper Flagg, and Steph Curry. So a pretty interesting trio. I see why he signed there for sure.
So the Steph Curry thing in the ACBA has been fascinating the whole time. They haven't ever really had that good of a team around him. But it also became clear in the series I played against him in the playoffs and in a lot of these play-in games or in these like stream games that he would torpedo the team.
Yeah.
Because he'd shoot too much when he'd start making them.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that happens with like Damian Lillard as well. When they're starting hot and don't finish hot, they will shoot 35, 40 shots in these games because they don't ever have a way to turn it off. And so it's very fascinating because the problem that Denver's had, because they've had great teams, is that they can never get Jokic to do enough.
Yeah.
They never get him to quite take over enough. Whenever he puts up a 30-point triple-double like in these games, they'll just win these games.
Yeah.
They haven't ever fully unlocked him. They did much better last year. So, kind of new management, maybe they unlock something with him.
Yeah.
And now they're going to test it because I think that the best version of this team is going to beat any team against them. If you get Steph and Jokic working actually together, you're not going to beat the team. Flagg on the side there too, awesome.
Yeah,
Flagg has got the best surrounding core around him. The team is still pretty deep. Get Klay Thompson. I think they've got a couple guys I still like around them. Strus. I think they still got McBride. And I think they've got a big guy, maybe. I know they lost Mark Williams, so I think they've got another big guy. Or maybe they need to sign one. Whatever. Yeah. They've got enough depth to pull it off, but it's really just a matter of that symbiosis of Jokic and Steph. Can they get them both to work together? The hope is that Jokic has enough gravity that Steph will defer to him.
Yeah.
And if he does, this team is going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the ceiling of this team is borderline unstoppable, but we've seen some weirdness with these players in the actual streamed games and even like this past postseason with Jokic and Flagg, Denver lost, I believe, in 5 games to the 7th-seeded Mavericks, who had Luka and Brandon Ingram, and I think that was pretty much it. Like, I don't think they really had like a strong like role players surrounding those guys either. So like maybe that's just them like trying to figure out how to unlock Jokic and just kind of breaking it so that they know how to like fix it, kind of a thing. But I wouldn't be totally shocked if this team struggles in the first round. The floor of the team is interesting only because of how the players simulate. Like if we were talking like actual, like these guys are going to get on a real court and actually play together, like, yeah, they're one of the 3-4 best teams in the league. But the sim can definitely treat these players with some weirdness.
Yeah, I think that matchup is the Dallas one, I think, is the reason you make this trade. At some point, you do need a guy who can go band for band with Luka.
Yeah.
But Luka is coded like LeBron was, a few years ago, where at some point you aren't going to beat him
Yeah,
if he's going to be good.
Yeah, you can only just kind of hope to contain him to an extent.
Yeah, you just need to stop him from getting going, and you can't. I mean, you can't do it.
Yeah.
So it's not a fun one to try to match up against.
Yeah.
So I do feel for him. I feel for me. If we go up against him, it's it's Steph's the same deal. You have to hold him, but I haven't faced Luka in a playoff series.
Yeah.
Thank fucking God. But
I mean, that's the other thing too, is the West is so competitive. There's so many good teams. I mean, Minnesota, let me look their roster real quick just so I can get it right. Minnesota has Cat, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, and then Giddey and McDaniels. Like that's such, and they might not be the best team in the Western Conference.
Well, if we want to segue it, Minnesota I want to look at that. I kind of think that they do work as the same exact foil they were in real life to the Denver Nuggets specifically.
Yeah.
Because that's actually, I didn't workshop this too much, but now that you kind of mentioned the team, like if I'm thinking about how I want to attack Denver specifically, I think it's on the wing.
Yeah.
If so I think Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, like I think that's about how you want to do it, and it's exactly the same way you attack real life Denver. And then you get a Jaden McDaniels who is I think can hang with Steph enough,
Yeah,
right? And or you put him on Flagg and you chase Steph around. And I don't love Giddey, Halliburton, trying to chase him around, but I do think that they're in an interesting spot with that.
Yeah,
I would actually love to see a playoff series between these two.
Yeah,
because you force Steph into actions too with Halliburton. Is a great playmaker. You get help off of him with some of their better defenders. You get, catch and shoot Anthony Edwards, like all that. Or you run Ant against whoever they can throw out there who isn't as strong a defender.
Yeah.
1-on-1. I would love to see that matchup. I think that they haven't done it on purpose. The real life Timberwolves were built to beat the Nuggets.
Yeah, yeah.
That hasn't been on purpose. I do like the matchup, especially if Towns is going to get a buff on defense where he can hang with, because he should get a buff on defense.
Yeah.
But if he actually gets it, hangs with Jokic, like that's exactly why they were competitive against him.
Yeah.
Real life, because Gobert could hang with him enough and make things enough difficult with the system around it. Yeah. I think that's interesting.
Minnesota's that that's going to be a fun series. But then you look the defending champions, OKC, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, Porzingis, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Cason Wallace, AJ Mitchell, Jalen Duran, who wasn't very good in real life, but he killed it in a lot of the stream games, especially in the playoffs. Like that team is pretty sick as well. Like the West is just so loaded with talent right now.
Yeah, I don't think any of them feel invincible because I think there's enough things that can go wrong for all these teams. I mean, OKC did need Porzingis and Paul George to bail out their top guys not playing the right kind of way for them.
Yeah.
So you look at it like, wow, okay, it is very fortunate things worked out as they did. You are a great team. You're set up to do that. And it happens for all of us, right? I mean, I had Nurkic go off for like 30 points in a game 6. Yeah. Every good team is going to have the role players, go off, right? But I think that the way that kind of modern, our next era of 2K simulations is gone, you can't rely on your star to show up. Yeah. Some stars do more than others, but like you're gonna have your star torpedo in your team, and it's what can you do around that? SGA was missing a bunch of shots there for a couple of those middle quarters. I think he closed better, but they were able to stay afloat with Porzingis and Paul George making everything. Yeah. Maxey was pretty rough because he got switched on to Daniels, I think. So Daniels was guarding him for those middle games, and Maxey was not. I mean, he was 1 for like 15 at one point.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna happen to all these guys. And it's just a matter of, do you either have a next star that'll step up, which is what I think Denver's hoping for, or OKC is hoping that these role players who have shot making talent make them.
Yep. Yeah, the playoffs are going to be interesting this year, especially out in the West. They were already interesting this year, and the West is probably going to be the most interesting of the two conferences for the next couple of years at least. And it depends on really when we see teams start shrinking below the second apron, but because right now
I think we kind of have already seen it to some extent.
We definitely already have, but right now we have Minnesota over by 14.
I mean, Chicago
is definitely the most.
OKC.
No, it's the
New
Pelicans.
Orleans.
OKC at 75 million over the second apron. New Orleans at 42. Chicago at 40. Atlanta at 25. The Pistons at 29. We've definitely seen some teams go down, and it's gonna if you're at 75 million over, it's gonna be hard for you to get down in like one off season. But
I'm guessing the Raptors will end up under.
Yeah, they're only a million.
I'm guessing
over.
These are cap holds kind of holding them up.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at it, but I'm guessing we will end up with 5 or 6 teams, depending on if Minnesota themselves get under. Which I do think they've kind of tried to.
Toronto's definitely going to get under because Herter is
Minnesota is not getting under.
Is 21 million.
That's Shannon's cap hold's huge. No, it's not. Yeah, Minnesota is not getting under.
Yeah, Toronto will definitely get under. They have a $21 million cap hold on Herter, and they're only a 1.5 million over, so they could probably get under the first apron.
See, Atlanta's going to be over too, which that makes sense. They had to re-sign KD.
Yeah, and the Bulls will be over for probably. They might be able to get under next year.
Next week we'll talk about the Bulls.
Yeah,
we got to move on. We talked too much hoops.
Yeah. So all right, you're right. We're gonna move on now to the ACHL. We've had 2 pretty sizable trades that we're going to cover. The first being the Brady Tkachuk trade. He's going to join his brother Matt Tkachuk with the St. Louis Blues, that's where their dad, Keith Tkachuk, played for a number of years.
Nepotism always wins, fellas. That's what the Knicks taught us.
So the full trade of that was the Ottawa Senators get Dylan Cousins, a conditional first in 2027, a 2028 first, a third-round pick this past draft, and then a 2027 third-rounder. And the condition on the first-round pick is it's top 10 protected, and it'll slide to 2029 if the protection's not met. But St. Louis has a really good roster. I imagine that protection probably won't hit. You look at the top of their team right now. I'm just waiting for the sheet to load.
I mean, I do think that they have to move Robert Thomas to somewhere like Seattle. You know what I mean? I just think that's got to happen. But no, their top 6 is going to be great. It'll be, they got to fill out that depth, get quality role players, because that's, I mean, we're going to look at your Rangers as a case study in that, right? You look at your top 6 and top 4 on paper. Well, you should be a wagon, but if you can't piece together the bottom 6 properly in these sims, you're going to lose a lot of these games close, and find yourself in the middle or bottom. I think that, and I want to look at the standings real quick because I didn't look at the standings from last year again. I've looked at them a couple of times, but I just keep forgetting them.
Yeah. Well, while you're looking at it, it's like I can cover that too. Like that's definitely one thing that I figured out is, you want an elite top 6, but you also can't say, like I wanted to see how far the elite top 6 can carry you, and the answer is not far at all. Like I was bottom 10 in the league 2 years in a row, despite having one of the a top 6 that you would expect to be in the playoffs. And it's because, like, admittedly, goaltending wasn't very good, but I think more importantly, the bottom 6 wasn't very good. I had a very good defensive core, but the bottom 6 was just not good at all. So it shows that it matters a lot in hockey, really. And that's true even once you get into the playoffs. You see teams that have depth and they have some versatility on the bottom 6, and they have usually like some speed and they can hit. Like you need those guys to help you win in the playoffs. It's not just going to be, an elite offense that gets you through the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that last year they were similarly, I think, pretty good. I think they traded for Gus. I can't pronounce any of these fucking names. But Shane Gostisbehere, the guy from fucking Carolina.
Gostisbehere. I'm probably watching the name too.
Yeah, but that guy, they traded for him, and I think they had a pretty solid top 4. defenseman core, and I think they definitely were missing a Brady Tkachuk in the middle, but like they were still pretty close to that level last year, and they got 83 points. Like they weren't a competitive team at that level. They did have a rough stretch after the break. The Olympic break, they were pretty rough after that. So there was kind of a flux point in the season. They didn't finish strong, but you could also just kind of point to that. It's not the traditional end of season because you had a month off, but it's still kind of like that. You get in the dog days of it, trying to compete for a playoff spot. Every line's competitive. Everyone's fighting for every point, and they just didn't have the horses. So, and they didn't play great at home either, which I don't know what to take from that really in a sim, but man, they were pretty bad at home. It's just weird to look at. But I think they'll be better this year. The ACHL has opportunities on the bottom line. The bottom two lines, you can fill out for the 15 million they got. Because it just tapers off quicker. If these guys aren't getting 3-4 million, they're getting 2.5, 3 million. So I think you can fill out 6 spots for 15 million and put yourself in a spot where you can feel good enough about your depth, and also be in a position where position yourself at the trade deadline to get a guy retained down to fill in as like a overqualified bottom 6.
Right now,
which is I think the key.
Right now, they just need like a bottom pair defensive pairing, and really just I think they could probably cobble together an interesting third line with what they already have. So it's really just the fourth line that they have to worry about, and then that's kind of like what you were saying, like build that fourth line and the bottom pair defensive pairing, and maybe at the trade deadline you maybe look to upgrade the third line. Maybe that upgrade pushes somebody down to the fourth line, makes it a little bit better. Like that's what you're going to be looking to do, I think, if you're the Blues. But you got to get those holes filled because they do matter.
Yeah, for sure. So I think they're set up well.
Speaking of another,
they're gonna be exciting.
Speaking of another Midwest team, a pretty strong and fierce rival of the St. Louis Blues. The other big trade that we're going to talk about is the Chicago Blackhawks trading Sebastion Aho to the Utah Mammoth. They get.
Did you just call Utah the Midwest?
No, Chicago.
Yeah, you said pretty strong Midwest team. You talk about trading it. I was like, Chicago wasn't strong.
No, a strong rival of the Blues.
Oh, right. All right. I thought I was gonna have to go fly to California and fight you for that. Utah in the Midwest would have been rough.
No, Utah's not a Midwest state. It's just a Mormon state. But yeah, Utah, a very strong team in the ACHL. They had a very good season this past year, and a pretty big upgrade. They don't lose a ton. Stian Solberg, Sam O'Reilly, Simon Nemeth. I always mispronounce his name. I'm pretty sure it's Nemitz. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay.
I never got to that one.
My bad, hockey fans. Yeah. I did better than Steele would have done. So give me
points. Oh, absolutely. I would have never thought it ended as an S sound. That's crazy. Gotta work on my pronunciation.
I knew it was that's what messed me up. I knew it was a weird one, and for some reason I thought it was a TH, but it's not. But then they also give up a 2027 and a 2028 conditional first. Both of them top 5 protected. They'll slide a year if they don't convey. So that if neither ends up conveying, they'll end up getting a 2029 and a 2031st. But more than likely gonna convey unless the sim decides to really screw Utah. But yeah, Utah, very, very strong team. I like the trade for them.
I think there's got to be a move coming for one of these forwards to move. Like, just cap-wise, try to fill out the defensive core. Like, there's got to be something I'm missing here. Maybe they've got a prospect who's ready to go that just isn't up in the sheet yet. It's hard to know for certain, but, for a guy like me. Yeah. But I think that there's got to be some move coming with one of these guys going out so they can fill out the depth. $4 million. We talked about it. You don't need a ton of money to do it, but they have only 18 AHL contracts, it says. So you are at the point where your $4 million is used to get to the roster cap on minimums.
Yeah.
So I think that you probably need $5 to $6 million extra. I'm not necessarily sure who that guy should be. I mean, I feel like you got a great center core.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these guys are pretty. I mean, a lot of these guys are on pretty decent deals too. Looking at them, so like it's hard to move any of them. But that is like, I guess, what I'm going to speculate a little bit. Will they have to move somebody, or is there some clever accounting up someone's sleeve here? Because you do. I mean, you only have 4 defensemen on contract, one an RFA, who you probably don't want to lose. So, it'll be interesting. We're in weird offer sheet times for these RFA defensemen. So, if the target ever turns, further east, better watch out.
Yeah, so that's more or less what's going on in the hockey world. The other big story that we kind of talked about was the first overall pick in the 2026 ACHL draft. Not a big surprise. It was Gavin McKenna for the Carolina Hurricanes. And the reason that is interesting, it's the second year in a row they had the first overall pick. Last year was via trade. They ended up with Matthew Schaefer. So if McKenna does pan out like people expect, you have your franchise top line player while also having your franchise defenseman. So pretty good start to really a retool. They kind of did the same thing that I've been doing over the past few years, and they're looking pretty good. I like where they sit right now.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of where they're going to be very shortly. I think that they're kind of going to be set up as our version of what San Jose kind of did, which a lot of young guys starting to really come into their own.
Yeah.
A lot more defensemen, a lot more of a solid foundation off that. So I think they could be our, riser this year, with a big boost to Schaefer. It depends a little bit on what kind of rookie ratings they can get to. Martone kind of be up there too.
Yeah.
So a little bit based off that, and maybe who they sign as a free agent to fill out the forward unit. They got $30 million to spend. I think the floor is higher than that, so they got to spend something.
Yeah.
So who they can get to sign with them, what kind of deal? They could be a scrappy, wild card 3-ish team if things hit.
Yeah, it's kind of McKenna's probably going to be on the lower end, and I don't have a great handle on, because I think one year the rookies scored really well, and then one year they scored pretty low. I think a lot of it is just like how your team is kind of assembled as well, and do they fit where you want to place them. But I would probably say that like you're expecting them to probably be a year away before they're like a riser. They're probably going to have one more lower end season, just because I think the young guys aren't going to be rated well enough to really produce in a way that like makes them in the mix. But I mean, they could be. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But it is an interesting.
I think with this defensive core with Schaefer ready to go, I don't think the bar is very high for their forwards either. I think that's kind of where they're going to be a defensive led team, defenseman led team.
I would be interested. I would be interested in seeing if you take a young team, and if you take like your top prospects and you put them in your top 6 and you build a strong bottom 6. I'm curious to see how that team would do.
I think they could be that team this year.
Yeah.
It depends how much they want to go for it. They could very well take the approach of like, well, we could probably get close to being okay, but one more year at the bottom would be nice.
Yeah.
There is definitely a strategy to that. They picked number 1 twice in a row. They probably don't want to be that bad again.
Yeah.
You want to have something going forward. But if they're 5 to 6, one more top flight guy.
Yeah. Or
obviously the lottery is going to be a part of that. So they did win the lottery twice. Well,
yeah, you could
traded up once, won the lottery the second time.
Yeah, you could just end up winning the lottery, and that you don't want to be the top lottery spot and win the lottery. That's not where you want to be if you're Carolina.
Yeah,
you want to get some. You really want to get some lottery luck this year, but we'll see how that goes. It'll be a fun season though. There's a lot of teams that have been rebuilding and retooling over the past few years we're starting to see the prospects actually start to kind of take hold of the teams that they're on, especially from where we first started. We're actually starting to see more prospects rise up. So the league's definitely getting a little bit more interesting from that perspective, and we'll see where that goes from here. We're going to transition over now to baseball, where we just went through the All-Star break, and now we have the standings update. So, Steele, do you want to walk us through the standings, or?
Yes, I can walk us through the standings.
Okay.
I gotta go back to the actual standings video though, because the one I'm looking at is not right. Let me go back here. All right, we're jumping back into the past. So I guess we'll just go in the order I've been showing them. First off, I guess the NL Central Cubs have been up and down. We started off I think we were like 12 games up at one point, and then it kind of fell back down to 5. It wasn't the Cardinals who were the closer one; it was the Brewers. The Cardinals, 7 out of their last 10 that they've won, and I think that's even not their best 10-game stretch in the last 30.
Yeah.
I think they were better in the previous 10 slot too. So they were the worst team in the NL Central after a couple months. The offense was completely gone. And they found the bats. They sacrificed the chicken and were able to string together some runs. And they've been a very good team as of late. But even still, I mean, it was just hard to come back from the early lead the Cubs had. Cubs fell off a little bit. They went supernova, but it's still an 8-game difference because they were 15 games back when it started.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if the trajectories continue, because I'm certainly looking at it like, ooh, come on, Cardinals, start losing more.
Yeah, I mean you have a pretty I'm not going to say it's safe, or comfortable, but it's a nice 8-game lead. And I mean, you look at the run differential for you: 417 runs scored, 305 runs allowed. The runs allowed, you're the only team in the NL Central that's allowed less than 400 runs, and you're at 305. So you're well below. You have like 100 less runs allowed, pretty much, than the next worst team of the Pirates, with 401. So you have a really nice run differential. So that should give you some confidence.
Yeah, the pitching staff has been awesome. I mean, it's definitely been one of the better staffs in the league. At the top, you probably get the Rays in first. We'll talk about them later, but definitely as the depth, a lot of money. Sagano has been like a 2 ERA guy. Who would have thought that?
You also are keeping up with the streamers teams being very productive.
Hey, my team has been productive here. Okay, it's the playoffs where we've been up and down. It's not my fault. Okay, I lost to the team that went to the World Series every time. All right, every time. Anyway, moving on to the West. Whenever I hit the button, there you go. The Dodgers are in front. No surprise there. Dodgers, pretty solid team. The West is in a state of flux, right? There is no true team that I feel great about. Dodgers have made some moves looking towards the future, but even still, we expected them to be the top team, and they are. I don't think we expected the second place team though in the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah,
4.5 games back. I think we'll look at the wild card next. That's the order I went in. I think they are poised in a wild card position as of right now, which is just not what we expected. If we expected a West team to dethrone them or give them a run, it would have been our next team, the Diamondbacks, who are sitting 8 games back of the Dodgers, 3.5 games back of the Rockies, and just not pitching as well as we thought. They definitely are a hitter-led team, but we expected the pitching to be a little bit better. Flaherty's not been great so far. Fott has struggled, which some did anticipate that, including themselves. But they've had about 3 of their starting 5 really struggle. And it's been hard for them to overcome so far.
Yeah. I will say it's interesting. I like seeing the Rockies up here. They're a team that's been rebuilding for a little while. They got Nick Kurtz, who I think has been having a really good season for them. Wyatt Langford, like those are the 2 guys on that team that you look at and you go, all right, there's some talent here. But I mean, I just had to look at the rest of the roster just to see how.
I mean, Wallner's hitting 300. So like Wallner's been great.
Yeah.
We got Austin Wells, who struggled a little bit here, but like he could be a guy for them. Connor Norby,
Yeah,
claim legend here, Rule 5 draft, and they're just scrappy.
Yeah,
it's a big thing.
Yeah,
they're not even like it's. I thought if they're gonna be good, it was gonna be like Robbie Ray and Tutse Ime. the Japanese pitcher they signed.
Yeah.
I thought those two were going to play well. I think both of them are in the 5s for ERA, and they're still hanging in there. So they have just been a scrappy team. But it'll be interesting to see if they can.
I mean, I do wonder how much of it
put
is
it
just
together
like,
more.
I wonder how much of it is just like a really hot stretch for the Rockies, because I'm looking at the standings here. They're 8-2 in their last 10, but the run differential is pretty bad for a team that's over 500. So I wonder if that's just gonna come down, and the Dodgers are just gonna start to run away with this division a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely are, catching some good variants. No question about it.
Yeah.
And we'd expect the Dodgers to maintain being the better team, but they could steal a wild card slot, or
Yeah.
at least be in contention until near the end of the year. It's a huge win. They're in a similar spot to how we saw Carolina in the ACHL, right? Got a lot of young guys who maybe aren't quite ready to be the anchors.
Yeah.
But if you can get them to show you something like they kind of are right now, scraping together wins, you're ecstatic.
Yeah.
So we have the Padres and Giants, who are who we thought they were.
Yeah. The Giants, unfortunately.
Yeah. Padres had some decent runs, but they just kind of up and down. They haven't been able to sustain it.
Yeah.
Wild card. We're going to take a quick peek at it. We're not going to spend some time on it because we are talking about most of the good teams anyway. Phillies, who we haven't gotten to, 2 games up, holding the top spot. Rockies, 1.5 games up, holding the second spot. And the Braves are. Wait, did I mess this up?
Yeah, I have it as it's the Rockies.
Sorry. Cardinals, Phillies. Whoops. Spoiler.
Yeah, the Rockies
started looking at my TV screen instead of my thing, because I was looking at the run differentials to see if they were going. So Rockies 2.5 games up. Sorry, Rockies. You do lose 1 game. Cardinals and Phillies tied there. Brewers have game back, Diamondbacks a game back, and the Braves are also a game back, not shown. But I knew their record from this video because I did look at it before. I just forgot.
The thing that is most interesting to me is you look at the teams right behind the Rockies with the Cardinals and the Phillies. The Phillies, very good run. I think it's like a plus 20 run differential. Yeah, exactly plus 20. The Cardinals have a plus 2. So I wouldn't be shocked. I would bet on a Phillies run here at some point. The Brewers are kind of in the same. I would expect the Brewers to fall back with their run differential, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Diamonds make a move. I can't see the Braves numbers, so I'll see them when you get to the NL East. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Rockies end up going a little cold and they're fighting for that third wild card spot. The Diamondbacks maybe fighting with them. So it'll be the NL wild card race. I think will end up being really interesting. It already is kind of interesting, but
yeah, I think a lot of teams are struggling.
Yeah,
in the middle, which has led to overachieving teams to reach in the same spot.
Yeah.
So gonna be an interesting race to the finish there. I mean, the American League East.
Real quick, I'll make one quick note on the NL wild card, and then we can move on. The Rockies are the only team over 500 in the wild card race. So
yeah,
a lot of teams struggling.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's sitting in the middle.
Yeah.
The American League picture looks a lot better. I'll say so much of that. Starting with our first division here, the American League East, which features every team 500 or better.
Yep.
The Rays, I mentioned them. Their top 2, McClanahan and Eflin, are like sub 1.5 ERA guys, 10 plus wins. Basically automatic every time they come up in the rotation.
Yeah.
And anchoring with those 2 guys with a still pretty solid pitching staff and top 5 hitting, it's a good recipe for success here. Even as their back half of the rotation hasn't quite lived up to where I think they would expect them to be, it hasn't even mattered because you're 16 games over 500.
Yeah.
So obviously you feel fantastic if you're the Rays. And then the rest of the American League East, the interesting one here is that the Orioles are not up there. They are 3-7 in their last 10 and have just kind of never been able to sustain the run. They just kind of were like they went toe to toe with the Twins right away. Felt like they're going to be that team, and they just kind of been floating right around 500. Couple games up, couple games right back to get to even. They're 3 games out there right now.
Yeah,
They're feeling okay, but they should be a way better team than that.
I wonder how much of it is their bullpen, because looking at their roster, their rotation is Wheeler, Paul Skeens, and Freddie Peralta as their top 3, but they've got some nice guys behind them. But their bullpen is like Josh Hader and really not much else. And when you have a roster with like Rushman as your catcher, an infield with Gunnar Henderson, Kittle Marte, Matt Chapman, outfield Jackson Merrill and Kyle Tucker, that team I think should be better. So I wonder how much of it is their bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, Felix Bautista has an 8 ERA.
Yeah.
He's 2-8. Keegan Aiken, who probably should not be on a major league roster, 6.5.
Yeah.
Dollander, who is pretty solid, but has not played well for them, 5.83. So they've had to rely on Scherzer playing okay baseball for the most part, and their ace is not really quite delivering to the same level you'd expect. We're talking about around a 3.5 ERA for those guys.
Yeah.
That's fine over a whole season, but we are talking about some of these other aces putting up under 2. I think they needed closer to 2 from these guys. These records aren't bad, 9-6, 10-6. It's okay. I think you expect a little better, especially Ronaldo Lopez, 4.39 ERA. I think you'll see that come down.
Yeah.
At some point, but as of right now, it's Bautista who is tank commander here. But Whitlock's been solid. So Whitlock and Hader, 2 guys at the back. Bautista should have been better. I think you can still rely on him to be something, but they could be a team prime for a move at the deadline for sure. And we'll see if they make it. Obviously, the season hasn't really gone how they'd hoped, so maybe you just look at it as you can go for it next year.
Yeah,
with a team like that.
See where the flaws are and try to plug them in the off season. But we'll probably get a clearer picture as the wild card race comes into view.
Yeah. So Blue Jays are hanging right in there, right around even on run differential. Orioles are a plus on that, so positive indicator there. But kind of similar story between the Blue Jays and the Yankees, where, even the Red Sox, where all of them are kind of just feeling like they're in this middle ground where they're kind of playing good and they're kind of playing bad. Blue Jays have had their very high highs in some of these quick sims that I've done for them, like blowing teams out, but they'll trip up these games pretty rough too. It's like you'll get your ace on the mound after a couple wins in a row, and then he'll lose the game. It's like, okay, all right, that's not great. So I feel like all of these AL East teams, to some extent at least, feel like they've got a good shot in this, but they can't all make it.
Yep. So show us that AL Central.
Now, the AL Central has been a wagon for sure. The Twins, 61 wins, have been who we thought they were, basically throughout. Even with me trying to make them lose every game, they've still managed to win 61 of them. So not a very good streamer. I'll work on it, guys. I promise. I'll be better for you. But well plus run differential. They've been dealing with some pitching injuries, but if you're having pitching injuries, just go ahead and trade for another top line guy who's always been good here.
Yeah.
So that's a good solution. They nailed it with that one.
The wild thing to me with the Twins is you look at that division record, they're 13-14 within their own division. That's crazy for a team that has a 7-game lead in their division.
Yeah, exactly. You'd think they would just dominate the division, but especially a division as unheralded historically as the AL Central. But
yeah, I mean, you have the Guardians at 35-63.
Yikes. But Tigers, Royals, White Sox. Tigers have been consistently one of our better teams.
Yeah.
Usually duking it out with the Twins. I think this year the Twins are too much of a wagon to really duke out with for a regular season at the very least. But I think they'll be right back there for a playoff sort of run. I think the Tigers are very well set up to be that team coming out of the top wild card spot. Even if they aren't right now, I don't know exactly where they're at, but they're primed to be that team. I think they are the next best team. But the Royals and White Sox have both been pretty good this year, both sitting over 500. Both of them. Oh, actually, not true. Sorry. Only the Royals with positive run differential. I flipped the White Sox numbers. White Sox have been scrappy, but the Royals, I think their pitching staff's very good. They've been hitting the ball pretty well. I think they've gotten poor luck with their record right now. They could very well have 54, 55 wins with the Twins. So if they can put together their runs in more consecutive days, I think they absolutely could be trying to steal yet another wild card slot from the American League East, who, like I said, all of them feel like they can earn it, but I think the Royals could very well steal one of them with the Twins stealing one of them.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting at the top there.
And then the American League West, the Rangers, who are always one of our top teams, and the Angels in the middle are in that wild card picture too. Like this wild card picture in the AL, we were talking about how there's nobody who's good in the NL. Really?
Yeah.
All the teams I just listed, the entire AL East, Royals, White Sox, Tigers, Rangers, Angels, over 500.
And Mariners.
Yeah, the Mariners are in the wild card picture. They've won 61
yeah.
games.
Yeah.
Like they're way up. They're 10 and a half games up. We have teams over 500 that are 10 games back in their division in this conference too.
Yeah.
Like the American League records wise, absolutely dominating. So they really are beating up on the National League when they play them. And so that's obviously got to be feeling great for them. But then they have to look at their own record and look across the way and see, oh, I don't know. But the reason why ultimately I did mostly focus on the other two divisions is that the Angels are a positive run differential. I don't believe in it as much. I think that they are pretty deep. I don't believe in their bats enough.
Yeah.
They proved me wrong so far. I don't believe in their bats enough. I don't think they are a strong pitching staff as this group either. I think that they are playing well. I like that team. I even helped put together some of that team. So I would love to see them still be that team. I just don't think that in the end they will be enough in this American League. I would love to be wrong about them. They are a fun team. I like them. Rangers, similar deal. Always scrappy. Love the way they're put together. They don't seem to have the horses in this American League right now. They are negative run differential by 2 runs, so it counts. But they have the pedigree. They are a very experienced team, playoff wise, especially. If we start getting into this competitive baseball and they get a wild card slot, it wouldn't surprise me. But it's steep competition.
Yeah.
And so, wherever they may stand on it now, I think at the end of the day, they're going to have to go up against the Orioles. They're going to have to go up against the Blue Jays and Tigers, and then I like the Royals better.
Yeah.
If we're going to go down that way, I like the Yankees or Red Sox about the same, or if not better.
Yeah.
Even despite maybe worse record right now. So that's just kind of where I sit with it. But speaking of that wild card, Tigers 3.5 games up, pretty commanding lead in that. Blue Jays are a half game up, and the Rangers currently hold the 3rd spot with a half game lead on the Royals and Orioles. So as we talk about it, Orioles right there, Royals right there.
Yeah.
Not sure the Rangers will be the one to hold it.
Yeah,
but I'd love for them to prove me wrong.
Yeah, especially looking at like you kind of pointed out with the run differentials and stuff. Like that's the other thing with the Orioles, kind of like we were talking about. They haven't had the season that you wanted them to, but like they're still totally in it. Seeing the wild card picture like this kind of makes me think that they should be in the camp of let's try to address this bullpen and see how far that gets us in this second half of the season. Because you're a half game out of the wild card, and the underlying metrics kind of point to you being a team that could expect to take one of 2. There's 2 wild card spots that I think are really open. I'm going to say that the Tigers are probably going to keep one of the wild card spots. They could fall back a little bit if they have a bad second half, but they're probably going to keep one of the 3 wild card spots. But the Blue Jays and the Rangers, I don't think, especially with the underlying metrics, I would kind of bet on both of them falling back at a certain point.
So the American League wildcard picture has 4 teams ranked in the top 10, including number 11, 13, and 14. They're all right there. 2 of the division leaders are also in the top 3. One of the wildcard teams is number 1, the Orioles, and the Rays are 12. All of them top half teams. All of them in this wildcard race are going to have to beat well, if you're going to be one of the non-top 10 teams to sneak in, I'm talking about the Rangers.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the Blue Jays. I'm talking about the Yankees, White Sox, Angels. You've got to beat 2 top 10 overall teams. Definitely can do it, but you have to beat 2 of them. 2 more talented teams in a full season baseball. It's an uphill climb.
Yeah.
But it's exciting. I love it for us.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It'll be a fun second half for sure in both leagues, I think. But especially
but
the AL.
Speaking of top 10 teams in the league, the New York Mets.
Which I swear,
right,
if you go ahead.
They might be 26th ranked, but
yeah, if you're looking at team rankings, if you had told me that we were going to be first of all, this far above 500 and also have this much of a lead in the NL East at this point of the season, I would have bet that the rest of the league just died. The rest of the NL East just died.
I haven't actually confirmed yet if we died.
So, but yeah, we're sitting there with a 6-game lead, 53-44. Hitting a little bit of a skid, 4-6 in our last 10, but 16-10 in our division. Really struggling during those day games, 17-21, not good.
Egg out on the lights. New York never sleeps, but they sleep during the day.
What I'm most surprised about is I was looking at a little bit at the stats, and we were top 10 in home runs, represent Willie Adames at the home run derby. I was definitely surprised to see that. But yeah, the NL East historically has not been a very competitive division, but that it's usually run by the Atlanta Braves, who currently sitting 7 games back, 46-51. They made a little bit of a charge there over like a 2-week span. They cut it down to 3 games back, but then 3-7 in their last 10, I think, kind of.
That's indicative of their last basically 15 or 22. So it's like, it's been both of these stretches. They lost that run they did.
Yeah.
Which is tough. But they are going to get. I was going to look that up. I think they're getting William Contreras back soon, and that'll be big for them.
Yeah. So I think that pretty much covers it for.
He's back in 2 days, so he'll be back next Wednesday.
All right. So
as of I'm assuming, so he will be back very soon, and that'll be huge for their offense.
If I had to bet on there being like a huge upheaval in a division, the NL East is where my money is going to go. I would fully bet on the Mets collapsing and the Braves kind of coming up and figuring themselves out.
Reverse jinx denied. I'm going AL East.
But that's pretty much going to cover it for baseball. Do you want to cover football?
Yeah. Let's yell at Acorn for a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. The only story we really had was Acorn's season predictions. Currently, well, he predicts himself to go 12-5, for one.
Which he did last year, I think. So whatever.
But that was.
I saw like a quote. It's like every team sees 12 wins on their schedule.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is.
Yeah. He's got the Bills winning the East, your Steelers winning the North, the Titans winning the South, the Raiders winning the West, and then the wild cards are the Ravens, the Patriots, and the Chiefs. And then in the NFC, well, let's stick with the AFC. What are your initial thoughts on that?
Probably right. Titans can never be killed. So they will always hold the South. Patriots is, I think, the team I'm not as sure about. I think Patriots over Jets, despite the different directions the off seasons. I think that's a bit of a bold call. I think Bills over Jets, based on how close it was last year, basically coming down to whoever could execute down the stretch.
Yeah.
With that game, I think that's fair enough, right? The Jets won it all.
Yeah.
And definitely executed in these playoff games down the stretch, including that Week 18 game. But it felt like it took a lot of shenanigans for the Bills to not win these games during the regular season last year to just be the team. So they have been the shenanigans team. But I probably will pick them to win quite a few games this year. So we'll see if that ends up working out for me this time. I've been stepping on this break every year, but maybe this year it won't come up and hit me.
I definitely agree with the Bills and the Jets. We definitely took a huge step back defensively, I think, and that's probably going to come back to bite us in a really competitive AFC. I think the Patriots, they made really nice moves. I like their offseason. They're going to be competitive. I don't think that they're quite there yet, and I was kind of surprised that a team I think we got to give a lot of respect to going into this season is the Los Angeles Chargers, because there's some holes on that roster, especially at edge and kind of the interior defensive line and linebacker, but they're not bad in those areas. And they've got Jalen Ramsey, Derek Stingley, Marcus Jones, Derwin James. Like, that secondary is filthy. They had the first overall pick. They traded it to the Giants. They ended up getting Mike Evans, so that gets a big boost to their offense. Getting Justin Herbert some help, like that team is going to be really tough to beat, I think. So if I was going to,
my Chargers worry is just that, it's adding stars, huge, obviously.
Yeah.
Corners should be nasty, but I thought their corners were playing pretty well last year too. It's what went wrong with Herbert last year.
Yeah.
Weapons weren't on par, so maybe it is just that. But
they added
he was able to throw to Shakira and nobody else before too.
Yeah.
They had games without him, and he was still always dealt. So it's kind of similar to the Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson problems that have been had. What happened, and is it fixed?
Yeah.
I do trust them a lot more. They've done it at a high level. I mean, they went to a Super Bowl where their entire team died, so they couldn't have won it.
Yeah.
But they did make it to a Super Bowl with their entire team dying.
Yeah.
So, Herbert's done it before. They've done it before. But the entire core they did it with, except for Stingley and Derwin, and obviously Herbert, has to be reshuffled.
Yeah.
Is the new core going to be up to the task?
Yeah. I mean, the two receivers they added, Mike Evans and Cortland Sutton, I think that offense could be really explosive. I think the question is like, how much does a lack of a pass rush hurt them in some of these games against more competitive teams? So that'll be interesting to see. But I would definitely, if I was going to remove one team, it would definitely be the Patriots right now. I just think they have more to prove. And I think that you look at the roster, it's good, but I think it needs some guys to take a little bit more of a step forward before we start really believing in their ability to compete in the AFC as it is. Switching over to the NFC, we have the East is the Eagles, the North is the Packers, the South is the Falcons, the West is the Seahawks, and then the wild cards are the Cardinals, Saints, and Giants. Your thoughts?
The NFC. Sorry, I was on baseball mind. NFC is just always weird.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been sitting around 500. Saints, yes. Giants, definitely yes. Why are they 3? Cards, I don't know. I like that team. It vibes great. I just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll be it again. The Saints, just because their young guys are playing so good, I think that they're going to kind of continue that momentum. But I think Minnesota will be there.
Yeah,
I think Green Bay is fine enough to say they're going to get a spot. I don't think they're winning 12, but of course they probably are now because I said it. But I think that Minnesota will win the division.
If I was going to remove a team here, I think it would be the Saints, maybe the Cardinals, but I think that the Cardinals have a little bit more. I mean, they've got a pass rush. They've got at least one guy they got decent safeties. They got a good cornerback in Lassiter. Linebackers are good. Offense has some pieces to it. The Saints, I don't.
Who did they get at running back? Cardinals.
Josh Jacobs.
Okay, that'll work.
The big question I have for them is the weapons. With Parker Washington is their highest rated receiver right now, and Theo Johnson is their highest rated tight end. So
put some respect on the ACSU Fantasy Football League Deals team legend, Parker Washington.
No.
I forgot my name in the league, so I had to say the whole thing.
But the Saints, I know that they had a pretty good season last year, but I think some of that was just a little bit of similar, because you look at their cornerbacks, I still don't buy them. Edge rush, Tuli Tuipulotu, 2.
Tweet below 2, yeah. Go.
He's their top edge. Don't really buy that.
Jalen Walker, ACHL or ACFL Rookie of the Year. Too many acronyms on our brain too. But I can say tweet below 2.
Like, they're not bad, but I just I don't necessarily buy them that much. But
yeah, I think they're gonna get a good carryover boost on all those guys, so they're all gonna be right there ready.
I need you to
sophomores.
I need you to carry for a few minutes. I gotta make a phone call real quick.
Okay, well, we're basically at the end of the rope here anyway. But I'll carry on here. I don't know if he ended up predicting based off of this who he think would kind of go on. Let's see if I'm looking for him here.
Hey, sorry.
He didn't, coward.
Yeah.
But ACFL, we're obviously getting ready to get into kind of that training camp sort of Madden coming out, everybody getting ramped up sort of vibe. Really interesting to see our new streamer here, who is currently not on the call.
I'm back.
Okay, great. Well, I was going to kind of just basically an outro with talking about the excitement for the league I have, not having to do it all this year, and getting to actually just enjoy it. And kind of try to focus more on reacting to stuff, doing stuff like this instead of just surviving every week. I get to watch you do that. So that'd be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Not buying the game of Madden. Hell fucking yeah, dude. That's what I'm really here about. EA does not get my money anymore.
Dude,
that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I'm very scared of what Madden has in store for this franchise mode and what it means for us.
It looks deliciously awful. I'm so excited for you.
But that's going to do it for the ACSU Weekly podcast. Thank you for joining us. Steele, thanks for being with us. Coco, thank you as well. He hopped off, but thank you for the soccer contributions. We want to get more of this going. We want to get more media stuff in this regard, more podcasts. So if you have an interest we want to get podcasts for each league going up. So if you are interested, whether it be a host or a contributor, any fashion, just please reach out to me and let me know. And we also want to start getting going on social media as well. So if you have an interest in helping us in any regard on that front, please feel free, reach out to me. We want to try to get more exposure for these leagues so that we can try and attract more people and take the next step forward. So thank you again for joining us. We will try to see you next week. Hopefully we're going to try to be consistent with these. So thanks.
Yeah. Yes, sir. We're going to be back. It'll be easier to do the topics once it's not the entire dearth of everything.
Yeah.
We'll be getting some ACHL signings. We'll probably go a little more in depth with a couple of free agent stuff for the ACBA as well.
Yeah.
Maybe a little training camp preview for the ACFL. So, and then more baseball.
Yep.
Always more baseball.
All right. So we'll talk to you next week.
Peace.